Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse continued the trend of multiversal tie-ins. There were so many references, nods, and straight-up main characters that are pulled from other movies, TV shows, and even LEGO sets. However, as far as loose ends go, they seemed to miss a big one. Let's take a look at it right now. Lesser-known comic characters and even variants of more prominent characters were plentiful throughout Across the Spider-Verse. Perhaps the most prominent was the Prowler. Now, we all primarily know the Prowler from the first Spider-Verse film, Into the Spider-Verse. He served as a secondary villain to the Kingpin, and was revealed to be Miles' uncle Aaron Davis. Anyone who knows anything would know that Aaron Davis actually appeared 2 years prior to that film in the MCU, played by Donald Glover.
You ain't never done this before, huh?
Now, he wasn't a full-blown villain yet, instead a low-level illegal weapons buyer. However, Across the Spider-Verse took the opportunity to tie that loose end up. We see Donald Glover back as Aaron Davis, trapped in one of Miguel O'Hara's cells, waiting to be sent back to his universe. Only this time, Aaron is dressed in his full live-action Prowler costume. It was nice to know that even if we never get to see him in the MCU again, at least we know where he ended up. One MCU teased villain that we can't say the same about is Mac Gargan, aka the Scorpion. Mac Gargan appeared in Spider-Man Homecoming during an FBI raid on a ferry and again in a post-credit scene. However, Across the Spider-Verse chose not to show us his fate like they did with the Prowler. So since they chose not to tell us, we'll tell you. Just who is Mac Gargan? Similar to the MCU, Mac Gargan was a weapons dealer who wound up in prison thanks to Spider-Man and swore revenge. However, the MCU ended it there, whereas the comics transformed him into a superpowered scorpion-themed villain.
It's not on you.
Being a very prominent Spider-Man villain, Norman Osborn even recruited Mac to be part of the Sinister 12. After Osborn landed himself in jail, the Scorpion took over as the team's leader. Mac Gargan has had other bouts as popular villains as well. After leaving Eddie Brock, the Venom symbiote found its way to Mac and promised him revenge on Spider-Man if they worked together. Outside of Eddie Brock, Mac Gargan is one of the most well-known hosts of Venom. Needless to say, he's got quite the resume as a Spider-Man villain. Not to mention, the Scorpion did show up in animated form as one of the villains in Kingpin's posse in Into the Spider-Verse. It's this rich history that makes us question why Michael Mando wasn't brought back as a cameo to show us where the Scorpion in the MCU is at. Unless, of course, they have future plans for him. Unlike the Prowler, the Spider Society didn't seem to have to capture Mac Gargan, which makes us believe he's still in the MCU, and not traveling the multiverse like various versions of the Vulture. Does that mean we could potentially see him in the future? It's likely all this time he's still been waiting in jail, with his vendetta against Spider-Man growing larger and larger with each passing day. With Tom Holland confirmed to have another outing in the MCU as Spider-Man, it's very possible that Mac could be the next main villain. After No Way Home, even if the Scorpion was able to deduce who Spider-Man was, likely by watching news reports from J. Jonah Jameson, he definitely doesn't know anymore. However, like everyone else, he is still aware of Spider-Man's existence, and all the things he has done, one of them being giving Mac Gargan a one-way ticket to prison. Aaron Davis had described Mac as a vengeful man with violent tendencies, so a freed Scorpion could spell great danger for a Peter Parker that has no Stark technology, resources, or friends to back him up. So, everything is there. The backstory from the comics, the MCU appearance, and the mystery left by Across the Spider-Verse failing to include the Scorpion in their multiversal schemes. But we have to get to the most important question. Why? Why choose the Scorpion to make an MCU return? First of all, he's a very unique villain, in the fact that he's one of Spider-Man's main villains who has yet to make a true live-action appearance beyond the MCU cameo. This next phase of the MCU is focused on rebirth and exploration of new ideas. The MCU in general, but especially with No Way Home, has often brought back villains we've seen before, over and over again. The Green Goblin, Doc Ock, Electro, the Lizard, and Sandman were all literally pulled directly from other movies. It's time for the MCU Spider-Man to go back to the trend it started, by giving us live-action villains we've never seen before. Just in the past few years, we've gotten first-time live-action appearances from the Vulture, Mysterio, Carnage, and Morbius. And soon we'll be getting Kraven the Hunter as well. As Peter Parker begins to explore who he is, it may prove poetic for him to face someone from a past that everyone else has forgotten. The Scorpion hates Peter for something that happened before Doctor Strange wiped everyone's memory. So just when he thinks it's time for him to start fresh, he realizes that even multiverse-shattering forgetting spells can't help you truly outrun your past. Overall, Scorpion is a vengeful and violent villain and is due to make an MCU return. And there you have it. The loose end is still untied. What do you think? Should Across the Spider-Verse have shown us what became of the MCU's Scorpion? Will Beyond the Spider-Verse do it? Or is Mac Gargan gearing up for a grand return in the MCU?